"Mortimer," said the Rose, formerly the superhero and idiot, the masked chicken, the present emperor of the magicians, to the last emperor who had recently come out as dead, well, actually death. "Mortimer, the king of the dead, leader of the Grim Reapers." "Yes," replied Dark Midnight, formerly Blue Midnight, a superhero, before he came out as dead. "What killed the victim?" asked the Rose when they were on a crime scene full of police officers. "He was shot," said Mortimer, a little worried about his old empire if he didn't see the bullet hole. "All right, thanks," said the Rose, taking notes in a notebook that read as an unreadable scrawl, a mix of badly written cursive and print fonts with no spaces between the words. Mortimer wondered if the Rose could read it himself. "Ew, what did I just write?" moaned the Rose shortly after trying to read what he'd just written. He couldn't. The book disappeared in flames, and he put the pen away. "Are you all right, Aureus?" Mortimer asked him. "Yes," said the Rose. "It was a gangland hit," said Mortimer. "How do you know that?" asked Mortimer's great-uncle, Reynard Alexander, the officer in charge of the crime scene. "His spirit told me," said Mortimer, who was also the local coroner. "Oh, did they ID their killer?" asked Reynard. A manila folder appeared in Mortimer's hand. He handed it to Reynard, who looked at its contents. "Do you usually have a file like this, Blake?" Reynard asked. "Yes, it was hard hiding them from you," said Mortimer. "Why didn't you?" asked Reynard. "Coroners generally don't do this," said Dark Midnight. "You could," said Reynard. "But you didn't know who I was," said Mortimer. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" Reynard asked. "I couldn't come out as dead without abdicating," said Mortimer. "True, but why did you keep up the pretense of life for so long?" Reynard asked. "I was protecting the Empire from falling with the masked chicken as emperor," said Mortimer awkwardly, looking at his cousin Aureus, the Rose. "It's all right, Mortimer. You did right," said the reformed chicken, who had been under an enchantment which made him a useless idiot. Aureus was the transformed true form of the man. He was now a normal man with normal faults. He was no leader, he was distractible, and he disorganized. Which was why he needed the help of the charismatic, organized, born leader, Mortimer. He got help in secret because he felt ashamed of his faults and uselessness as a leader. "Good idea, Blake," said Reynard. "But with what you knew could have solved cases quicker." "Yes," Mortimer aka Blake Alexander agreed. "It was unavoidable." Later at the morgue. "Dr. Death," said an orderly who worked at the hospital where the morgue was. "What do you want, Jack?" moaned the coroner Dr. Blake Alexander, whom Jack always called Dr. Death because he was a doctor of the dead, a coroner. "I need your help, Doc," said Jack Taylor. "Don't call me Doc, you are not Bugs Bunny, and I draw a line at being called Doc," snapped Blake. "What do you want?" "Come with me," ordered the orderly. "Why?" asked Blake suspiciously. "Just come," said Jack. 5 minutes later, Blake gave in to his colleague's pestering again. As he usually did. Jack never took no for an answer. Blake followed the orderly to a room where Blake saw a Reaper leaving. Jack didn't. "Hi, sir," said the Reaper, seeing Blake. "He's dead," said Jack, showing Blake a dead patient. "I know," said Blake. "Bring him back," said Jack. Blake rolled his eyes. "For the 100th time, I can't bring back the dead," grumbled Blake. "You can, he's famous," said Jack. "I can't, he's dead," said Blake. "But he's my favorite singer," said Jack. "But he's dead," said Blake. "You are the Grim Reaper, you can bring him back," said Jack. "No, I'm not, I'm just the judge of the dead," said Blake. "I am just one of them, there are many Reapers." "Bring him back, Doc," said Jack, ignoring Blake. "I can't even if I wanted to, his soul has been taken already," protested Blake. "You're quick, put it back, Doc," Jack ordered. Blake stormed off in a huff. That night in a small theater in Melbourne City. "I am Blake Fire," said a tall, handsome stage illusionist appearing on stage. "And he's Max." No one appeared. "Max, move your AR dash," shouted Blake. Not now, I'm busy, Blake, Max shouted back. Max! Get here now, shouted Blake. If you say so, Max said. A man ran on stage. What are you doing here? Blake asked the man. The man ran up to Blake and pulled out a crucifix. You're one of them, said Blake grimly. I have come to kill the beast, shouted the man as he beat Blake with the cross. Frustrated when nothing happened. This should work, shouted the man. I'm not Catholic, it's just a cross, said Blake. The man pulled out a brandy flask. I don't drink, Blake said and laughed. The man removed the lid and threw the contents on Blake, who looked at the liquid. Does it stain? Asked Blake. Oh, it's just water. Holy water should kill you, said the man, puzzled. The audience was busting at the seams with laughter. The man pulled a wooden stake from a bag he was holding. Blake looked nervous. Stakes are dangerous things. The man stabbed Blake with the stake. What the dash? Said the man. That ruined my favorite shirt, shouted Blake, livid. Max walked on stage laughing his head off. He needs a barbecue for his steak, laughed Max, the king of the sun and vampires. Is he your pet, Max? Asked the Blake, frowning. I was busy keeping him off stage, said Max. You could have turned the steak into something clean, a bloody steak. Really? You ruined my shirt, screamed Blake. What are you laughing at? He thought you were a vampire, a laughing Max said. Blake glared at Max. The man tried to sneak away. He was stopped in his tracks by a grim Reaper appearing on stage in front of him. No, you don't, said the Reaper. Thank you, but throw him to law, boy, Blake said to the Reaper, his son Lance, the necromancer. I'll take him in, said another Reaper, Blake's assistant, walking on stage. Very well, Dante can have him, the necromancer said. Like the steak, Max. The necromancer left. Blake glared at Max accusingly over the steak.